Hey guys, and welcome to another Walk-In Wednesday. Today I'm going to talk about this gun because I promised I would. So make sure you watch all the way through because at the end I have two public service announcements. That's air quotes, public service announcements that I'm going to give you at the end of this video. It's going to be pretty quick because all I'm going to do is talk about this particular gun, but give you a little bit of background and some education to go with it. So 6 months ago, I was talking about the RZM PPK. I was talking about that variation, and RZM was the purchasing department of the Nazi Party. In fact, here's the actual word, and my German is impeccable. It basically, RZM stands for Reichsmeisterleiter. Not really, but I can't say that word. But the RZM was the logo for the Nazi purchasing department. And we also talked about the fact that if you became a party member, you were entitled to buy the RZM PPK at a discount, and you could make payments through your membership dues, etc. So I gave the whole history of the RZM. If you want to check that video out, I highly recommend it. You can click here and watch that. I go through all the different party member, party leader guns. In that video, I raised the question, were there any PPs that were RZM marked? And I reference this gun in particular. Let's take a look. There's actually a controversial RZM PP. There's a picture of one here. And the first time I heard about the RZM PP, I only heard about one, and I said, it's a fake, doesn't exist. In fact, years ago, probably 5-6 years ago, somebody offered me an RZM PP, and I just laughed. I said, he said, oh, I found one of the rarest guns ever. It's an RZM marked PP. And I said, they didn't make them. Kind of laughed at the person, which wasn't very nice. But since then, there's been about 5 reported, and they're in the 1940 range. They're not a sequential block, but they're in the 200,000 range, and there's just 5 of them reported. I believe some of them have, like the one in the picture, it has straw yellowed small parts and an RZM slide. I am trying to get my hands on one. So as you saw, I mentioned in the video, I'd like to get my hands on that gun. I did bid on it. It was in a German auction, Hermann Historica. It took 6 months to import, so there's a little bit of information. How long does it take? It took some fees, a lot of paperwork. It took about 6 months before it was approved to come into the United States, and this is that gun. Now, I ended up paying about 1,000 euros, but with fees, I'm into this, US dollars, I'm into this for a little over $1,500. And the lesson learned is I took a risk. And that's something about this hobby that you have to do sometimes. You know, many of you will write to me and say, I went to a pawn shop, I see this gun, is this a good price? And I'd say, well, you know, I really don't know. I'd have to have the gun in hand to tell you for sure. But sometimes you just have to grab it before it's too late. I bought this gun, and sometimes I make mistakes because here's what I found out. And the reason I bought it is I wanted to find out, did they make RZM marked PPs? Looking at a close-up, one thing that they got right, and what I mentioned in the video, is people who try to fake the RZM marking can't seem to get it right. In that the RZM marking is reverse embossed, meaning when they acid etched it, you would think that normally they would acid etch or they would highlight the RZM marking, but on this one, the RZM marking is high polished, but the background is etched. So I call it reverse embossed, and the fake RZM PPKs that I've seen have that wrong. So the reason I bought this one is they had a picture of the RZM, and I said, hey, look at this. It is reverse embossed. And you can compare that to a RZM PPK, and it looks really, really good. However, one thing that bothered me is the straw small parts. You see these small parts are straw in color, and generally PPs and PPKs never had straw parts. So that kind of confused me. So the main reason I wanted to take a chance was because of that marking, although the straw small parts didn't make any sense. And I mentioned in the video, from 6 months ago that I knew of 5 RZM marked PPs. Actually, it's only 4 because this gun I had already seen before. There was somebody in Austria about 4 or 5 years ago. He posted on one of the collector forums this particular gun. I didn't record the serial number at the time, but I now realize that the man in Austria must have sent this to Hermann Historica. So this I recorded twice. That leaves me with 4 possible RZMs, and one of them I saw in person at a gun show. A guy brought it to me, and it was definitely faked. It wasn't even close. He said, I have an RZM PP. I said, they don't exist. But I've learned, and you've learned from me watching these videos, every once in a while we come across a variation where it's just one of a kind. It's the only one known. So it is, I still think it's possible, but highly unlikely. So of the 4, 1 was fake, and now let's take a look at this one. The red grips, they actually did make these red grips, and the finger extension bottom is a PPK. That's a PPK finger extension bottom that somebody put on a PP magazine. So this red grip, just ignore it. It actually came a little bit later for this serial number. Here you can see the serial number. So from the serial number, this gun was actually made in like 1941 or 1942. It was too early to have the serial number on the slide, so that has me a little perplexed. But what makes it even worse, and I made a rookie mistake, I should have known. I mentioned in the previous video that several of the RZMs were in the same serial range from about 1940, 1941. So it's possible because, as you probably remember, the PPKs were made mostly in 1934. But then there was another run in 1938, 1940, a little bit later. This one dates to about 1941, 1942, but unfortunately, my rookie mistake was it's crown end proofed. If you take a look at it, the crown ends and they look too crisp. Let's look at a regular crown end from a PPK. And they just don't look that crisp. They're often just, they're just hammered on there. These crown end proofs are too crisp and make me a little suspect, but really what kills it for me is by 1940, they definitely should have been eagle end proofs. And this gun dates to 41 or 42. So the crown end proofs are definitely wrong. I pulled this gun out of my safe because it's in a similar serial range. Let's take a close-up look. First of all, this gun is earlier. It's 219,000, and it has eagle end proofs. The RZM in question is 248, and it has crown end proofs. So that's a big... It couldn't be. So I made a rookie mistake. I should have known better. Still, I'm glad I got my hands on this gun just so I could do this video for you. So that throws it off. And then look at the font. Here's a glowing mistake, as if you needed more information. Take a look at the serial number with the capital P at the end, and all the PPs have the same kind of font. When they did number the slide, because this one was a Waffen-proof gun, commercial guns would not have been numbered. This is a Waffen-proof gun, and so it has the serial number on the slide. But look at the font is smaller than the font on the frame. On this gun, the font is different. The P is a small p, and it shouldn't have the serial number on the slide. One other thing that I've noticed is as if you need more. So also just taking a look at this gun, I put this slide side by side so you could see. The font on the logo is a little bit smaller. Again, the marking is incredible. The legend is incredible looking. And in a vacuum, meaning if I was just looking at this at a gun show with nothing else to compare, I probably wouldn't be able to tell. But when you hold them, in the safety of my office, that's why I always say a hands-on inspection is preferred. When I do a hands-on inspection and look at this, especially under magnification, I can see the font is wrong. Just look at the trigger guard on the right-hand side and you see initials in a circle, which is a C and something else. I don't know what that would be, but they clearly tried to buff that off and did a lousy job. The big mystery for me is how they could make so many rookie mistakes, like the wrong proof mark, the wrong letter P, and do such a good job on the RZM. So this is a cautionary note. Somebody out there can replicate that RZM. So you have to make sure you look at all the different factors. The finish, as I look at it, some of the edges are a little bit rounded off. So this gun was buffed and was refinished. One more tip, and again, I gave you some tips on halos on the, when I did the Luger video, I talked about halos. And one tip that I hesitate to give you, because as soon as I give you this tip, whoever does these guns, they're going to change the way they re-blue the guns. But my better judgment decided I'm going to show you anyway, but please don't tell any of the fakers about this tip. Okay, I'm back. While you were taking a coffee break, I was busy at work taking the slides off of these two guns. So we know the RZM, and I'm saying here's the tip that the fakers don't know about. When they refinish the gun, that housing is not taken out, and therefore you can see it is blued on the RZM and it is in the white on the original. Every PPK that I have that is original, they're always in the white. You can take the firing pin out, but that firing pin housing must have been added after the blue, and when they re-blue, they don't bother taking it out. So that's one way to tell. Just take the slide off, take a look inside, and you can see that this gun was refinished. So for example, a real RZM PPK made in 1934, that's going to sell for about $3,000, maybe $25,000 to $3,000 depending on the condition. Whereas if there's only 4 known RZM PPs, it certainly would have gone for double that. So by me spending $1,000, actually $1,500 to find out for sure, I was taking a chance. And that's one thing about this hobby that most of you have learned and really need to learn. Now that gun shows are closed down, the only way for me to buy guns is auctions and people sending me pictures, and I often can't tell a lot. And so with the auction companies, if the pictures are not good or they only send you 1 or 2 pictures and all sales are final, you're taking a big chance, and therefore people tend to bid a little bit lower. Sometimes I win, sometimes I take a chance and hit a home run, and other times I don't. Now this particular RZM, I probably will end up selling for, it'll definitely be under $1,000. I would think about $500 to $800, and somebody will jump at it just because it's a novelty. So the point being is no matter how much education you get, and I obviously encourage you to watch the videos, read the books, the more education you have, the better. But even at that, there's times when I take a chance and I get a faked gun. So for me, it was worth it just because I'd love to get my hands on this gun and bring it to you, and we both learned something about the RZM PP. In my opinion, they're probably all fake. They were never made. So I started this video mentioning that I have 2 public service announcements to give. The first one is from a viewer, a guy named Mike. And he lived in Louisiana at the time, talked about working at his dad's car dealership, and he got his hands on a party leader PPK. Unfortunately, he let it slip away way too cheap. He now regrets it. He was 19 at the time. He's 75 now. What are the chances he could find it? We don't know, but with the power of YouTube, let's see if we can find out. Here's the serial number that he's looking for. It is not recorded in any of my data. So right now, nobody has ever reported it. So if you know of this party leader PPK, he would like to get it back if at all possible. And for my second public service announcement, let's head to the other room. Okay, Scott, who works for Legacy, also works on woodwork. And so he's been making these display stands. Perhaps you've seen them on our website. We actually have, if you go to our YouTube store, you can see here, go to accessories to the YouTube store. We do sell these, and they range anywhere from $30 to $50 shipped, and it depends on what you order. But here's an example of a high power, and he has the FN logo. He can make them in a blonde color or beechwood. He can also make them in a darker stain. Recently he got a laser engraver, and now he has the ability to put pretty much whatever you want, well, within reason. He can put the logo on. My favorite is this party leader. So this is the RZM that we just did the video. That's the, I hate to say fake, that's the fake RZM PP. And that's the logo, the party leader logo. Also, this one has the Walther logo on it. And so if you want to put your family crest, your initials, or whatever gun you have, we pretty much have a stand to fit any of these guns. This is a Mauser P38. But I just think that it's a nice addition for displaying your collection. Check it out. Go to our YouTube store and see if there's something there that you might want, or you can special order. We'll put you in touch with Scott and he can make something up for you. So, hey guys, thanks for watching again, and I hope you learned something about spotting fake guns, and buyer beware. Make sure you like and subscribe to our channel, and please hit the notification bell and tell somebody else about this channel.